Good day everyone. Reverse polarity protection is a way of protecting the guitar effect in case you plug in a DC power into it and the polarity is the wrong way around. So for guitar pedals, the positives on the barrel and the negatives on the inside, usually. If you plug in something that's got the negative on the outside and the positive on the middle, you could damage the effect. So to get around this, you add reverse polarity protection. I'm going to be going over a couple of options that you can do to protect the guitar pedal from this, and the positives and negatives. Two ways to do it, and the positives and negatives of both ways. I know it's elementary stuff, but I'm just going to quickly touch on what a diode is, just to get everyone up to speed. Basically, they look like this, and they have a white band on one side. Hopefully, you can see that in the video. The white band indicates the cathode. Actually, I shouldn't say white band, because some of them actually have a black band, so it's pretty much just the side that the band is on is the cathode, and the other side is the anode. And basically, it's kind of like a one-way street for voltage or for current. If I put a 9-volt battery on this diode, and I have a plus on the band side and a negative on the other side, it will basically block the voltage. The current won't flow through the diode, but if I reverse it the other way around, it will. So it's kind of like we'll only let like if you think of it as water, we'll only let the water flow up in one direction, won't let it go the other way. It's a very simple device, but they're used very regularly for all sorts of purposes, not just for this. So here's two ways that you can protect your effect from reverse polarity. In this first example, you've got the diode connected from the plus and the negative across the plus and the negative rails, and when the effect is connected correctly in the way that's shown here with the plus and the minus in this configuration, the current won't flow through the diode. It's basically like an open circuit, and it will just continue on to the effect, and the effect will work the way that it's supposed to. But if you swap these two around to the pluses on the bottom and the negatives at the top, this diode is now like a short, which means that basically all the current will flow through the diode and out back to the power supply. So you'll only get a small voltage drop across the effect of about the forward voltage drop of the diode, which is usually only about half a volt. And usually you use the 1N400X series for this configuration as well. And if you're new to guitar pedals, you'll see that used a lot. So another uncommon way of doing reverse polarity protection is to actually put the diode on the plus rail, as I've drawn here. And they both have pros and cons, and I'll explain to you which the pros and cons of both once I explain how this one works. So you've got the plus and the minus in the correct way around. You've got the plus and minus here, so the diode's basically like a short, and the current flows to the effect and it works normally. You swap those two around, you've got the negative at the top now, the diode's like an open circuit, no voltage will go to the effect, and the effect will be protected from the reverse polarity. So the pros and cons for both methods. Firstly, the advantage of this method is that you get the full 9 volts to your effect. You don't get the full 9 volts to your effect with this method. You actually lose the voltage drop of this diode. But if you use a 1N58, 17, 18, or 19, you only lose a small amount of voltage. And I actually showed that in the power palette video that I recorded quite some time ago, that the rectifier diodes, the IN58, 17, 18, or 19, actually you only lose a small amount, and from memory I think it's about 0.1 or 0.2 of a volt, so you only lose a very small amount. But the advantage of doing it this way over, of method 2 over method 1, is that if you reverse bias method 1, you get the full current go through as if it was a short, and it goes back to the power supply. So it's almost like putting a piece of wire over the plus and minus of your power supply. You put the onus back on the power supply to sort the problem out. And if you've got an old power supply or a power supply that doesn't have some sort of internal protection against shorting, you could, I could only guess, but you could probably burn a fuse out or overheat it, or something inside it's gonna blow, like a cap or something like that. So if you've got a suspect power supply, you're actually probably better off doing this method of reverse polarity over this one. So lucky for me, my power supply has some sort of internal protection. As you can see, these spikes are the power supply detecting that there's a short and switching off pretty much. So it really depends on your power supply. If it's not very good, if it's really bad, it might not have any internal protection, and you might end up having issues with this method if you plug it in the wrong way, and you probably want to unplug it quickly, otherwise it might overheat, or you might damage something. So what happens if you have a pedal that you don't have reverse polarity protection, you want to add it? It's very simple. A lot of people do this if they want to add it to it. You just solder a diode from the plus to the minus, and in the configuration, in the orientation I showed you on that schematic before, and you've got it. If you want to do it the other way around, where it's actually in line with the plus 9 volts, obviously you have to unsolder it from the DC jack and put it in line with the plus 9 volts, but still, that's not very hard either. So I hope you liked the video. If you do, give me a thumbs up, really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.